Hi. 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 Here's a little creepy. Hi. Hello. Hi. With all of the stress and turmoil in the world right now, I think that it is more important than ever that we have safe spaces where we can come to protect our mental health. And with this project, I would like to share my safe space with you by creating this little set of videos that I'll call positive politics or something like that, where I can talk about good things that are happening in the world, because it's not all bad. Lots of bad things are happening. And we see lots of news out of the Middle East, Armenia, Afghanistan, but there's also lots of good things happening in the world. And for the purposes of mental health, I would like to share some of those things. Before we jump in, I would like to share with you a beautiful video of a seal. I love seals. Seals are absolutely amazing. They're beautiful creatures. I'm absolutely obsessed with them to no end. And so please enjoy this absolutely gorgeous Weddell seal pup. This is lifted straight from Instagram. So cute. First things first, I'd like to talk about NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. They just launched a brand new space probe. It's called Psyche. It is going to an asteroid, also called Psyche, which is out in the asteroid belt, and it's like very metal rich, almost like a giant hunk of metal in space. Not exactly, but something like that. And nobody really knows why it exists or why it is the way that it is. So NASA has launched a space probe to go check it out. It's a $1.2 billion project. It'll arrive in sometime in 2029. Before then, it'll pass by Mars in 2026, which I think is pretty cool. And while it's on the way, it's actually going to test out this little laser thing so that it can relay messages back to Earth using a laser instead of normal radio, which is apparently a lot faster. It's very cool. And so that's something that just launched successfully on a Falcon Heavy rocket, which is the very large rocket that launched the car into space back in 2018. So I certainly am looking forward to seeing photos of the new asteroid in 2029. That'll be really, really cool. Next up, I'd like to talk about bees. Bees are absolutely fantastic. They're very important pollinators, but unfortunately, we have been losing bees quite a lot lately. The bee population has significantly declined due to a number of factors, including urbanization and increased use of herbicides, insecticides, things like that. And so it's more important than ever that we work to conserve bees. Thankfully, there's a publication, it's called Route 50. It tries to connect local and state governments, and they put out an article this week talking about ways that local and state governments are fighting to protect bees in their space here in the United States. There are two of these projects the article talks about. One of them is in Minnesota, where the state government has started financing efforts to build new natural landscaping, where you put in plants that local bees will like, rather than just grass or something in your lawn. And these programs have been extremely successful. More than 5 million square feet of land have been converted to natural landscaping since its inception. One of the programs gives funding to new homeowners and stuff who can then replace their lawn with a natural landscape. And that's something, we have a natural landscape back at my home, and so it's something that I'm very excited about, and it's a lovely program. The other thing is a program called Bee City and/or Bee Campus USA. And this is something that a number of cities have adopted over the years all across the country. But the latest city to do so, and the largest city to have done so as well, is San Diego. And San Diego is a very major agricultural producer. They grow a ton of avocados and stuff over there. So it's very exciting to know that they're going to fight to reduce the amount of insecticides and stuff that they're using, and to increase the amount of natural landscaping so that bees are much healthier, and hopefully the bee population can rebound a little bit. As far as the Bee Campus goes, Utah State University, which I actually previously attended some classes at, they are part of that program as of this past week as well. And there's also a town called Bee Cave in Texas. perfect name, that has become part of the program and has also declared bees honorary residents, which is very silly, but for a town named Bee Cave, I think it's pretty fun. Another really exciting thing that happened this week is that a new offshore wind farm called Dogger Bank in the United Kingdom just started running. Most of the farm has not been built yet, but is now producing electricity for consumers on the UK mainland, so that's very, very exciting. Dogger Bank is about as large as Greater London, so not just London, but Greater London, which includes like suburbs and stuff, and it is capable of producing enough power to power roughly 2.7 million homes, which is an absolutely insane figure and very exciting. The new wind farm is partially sponsored by the Norwegian government. It is between Britain and Norway, and it is through a Norwegian state-owned energy company, so I'm sure that they have some sort of economic plan around it, but it's a little interesting. The new wind farm, however, regardless of who's funding it, is going to be very significant in the UK government's plans to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. They have a net zero by 2050 goal. And this is a big step forward to achieving that. So, good for Britain and the world. The next thing is that there were two big elections this week. I really love geopolitics and I'm very enthusiastic whenever there's an election abroad, so I have to talk about this. One of them was in Ecuador, and Ecuador is a country that has had a lot of coups in its history, even in this century, and so this is the 7th election they've had since their last coup, and it went off smoothly, which is very good, very good. The person who was elected, Daniel Noboa, he's trying to fight crime in the country and such, which has been very violent lately, and so wish him good luck on that, although obviously, his term is short and who knows whether he'll succeed or not, but it is an exciting time for Ecuador. The losing candidate also was their mentor was the former president of the country who's wanted on corruption charges and is currently living in Europe so that they don't have to spend time in jail. So it's not necessarily the worst thing that Ecuador chose a pro-democracy candidate who's not tied to the corruption or the authoritarianism allegations versus the person who is associated with all of that. The other election was in Poland, which is a really big deal. Polish politics for roughly the past 2 decades have been dominated by 2 big parties. Those parties are called Law and Justice, which is like a right-wing outfit. They have some left-wing economic positions, but they're pretty pro-welfare, pro-union, stuff like that, but they're also very pro-fossil fuels, and they've been accused of increasing corruption and such, trying to rig up the country's courts and such. They're also very anti-LGBTQ rights and just very, very socially conservative. The other group is called Civic Platform. Civic Platform is used to be more moderate conservative, but it's moved leftwards over the years, and represents a more Europe-facing, international, pro-US, pro-EU sort of vision for the country. Environmentalism, all that kind of stuff. So Law and Justice has been in power for the last 10 years, and like I said, there's been a lot of corruption allegations against them. But this election saw the opposition win, and that's 3 separate parties. So there's Civic Platform, of course, but Civic Platform doesn't have a majority on their own, so they're going to work with moderate conservatives and a left-wing group to create a new government for the country that hopefully will be able to overcome some of the corruption stuff and bring them closer to other European countries, leading to better international relations for everybody. It's a very exciting time for Poland and a very exciting time for Ecuador. Also this week, a brand new type of vehicle was tested out in Morocco, actually. So a bunch of Dutch students from ages of 21 to 25, which is very young, that's my age, came together and built a car, a full-on car. It's solar powered and it is designed to drive off-road for long distances, up to 620 miles actually. They tested the car in the Sahara Desert. I think that's very cool. They drove it across the Sahara Desert, And it worked for 620 miles, which is very exciting. So the new car, which is called the Stella Terra, it's not going to go to market. It may in the future contribute to some kind of car that you could buy, but it's not immediately for that. But the car was created by a bunch of students from a Dutch public university and received funding. One of their partners is that university, and it goes to show how research grants through universities can really help people create new things that can actually impact our lives. The goal of the car is kind of to prove that sustainability and sustainable cars and electric vehicles and such can actually do the same things that vehicles with an internal combustion engine can. So it's a very exciting time. It's a big development in technology, and I look forward to seeing where this goes. The very last item for today is to do with the country of Venezuela. So as of today, there have been some very big movements in terms of the government and the opposition coming back together to try and figure stuff out. Venezuela has an election scheduled for next year, presidential election. And for the past decade, they've kind of been mired in various economic difficulties and a lot of infighting, and especially for the past 5 years, where the opposition who controlled Congress was fighting the president who is of the other party. Venezuela has not been in a good place for some time. Their economic difficulties, which have been made worse by international sanctions against their government because of all the corruption and authoritarian governance, and like they dissolved their Supreme Court and stuff. Things like that have created sanctions, and that's worsened the economy in Venezuela. But the deal that's being looked at between the United States, the Venezuelan opposition, and the Venezuelan government would entail the Venezuelan people getting a free election next year for their next president, the Venezuelan government getting to sell their oil abroad without sanctions and getting to improve the economy of the country, and the United States getting more oil, not in terms of consumption, but in terms of getting the Venezuelan oil is very high quality, so the United States can then get lower gas prices basically by processing Venezuelan oil as opposed to other countries' oil. So this is all very exciting, and hopefully Venezuela will see a free election next year, and look forward to all of that. So thank you very much for joining me on this journey today. I still don't really know what I'm doing. This is my first attempt doing this, and I hope that it turns out well. So hope you all have a lovely week, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Bye.